Mr. Himes. You may go right in.
Thank you. What's the weather in there today?
Oh. Yes, Mr. Harrison.
Barbara, have you heard anything from George Himes?
Yes, he just arrived. You're on. Good luck.
Thanks. I suspect I might need it. Morning, Bob. Before you say anything, I know I owe you 2 golf balls from last Saturday.
Good morning, George. Forget it. Sit down.
So you want to go over the plant appropriation request again? Haven't we thrashed that out enough? I thought we'd come up with some fairly tight numbers.
That's what bothers me, George. And why I asked you to come over.
Uh-oh, here we go again. He's getting ready to ask for another set of numbers, and it took us 4 months to get the ones we have now.
We have a whale of a lot more data to work with, yet we're treading on unfamiliar ground all the time. And in this case, we're asking the company to put $2 million on the line. I'm just not sure.
I can see it coming. We've figured appropriations this way for 20 years. Now, all of a sudden, it's not good enough. What does he want us to do? Try some new theories? Crank everything into a computer? Then let the computer spew out the answer? Bob, we've looked at this proposition every way that was practical. I told the boys their estimates had to be precise, and they are. They're real good, hard numbers, some of them right out of the computer.
I know, George, but there are still a lot of questions. We've only had pilot plant experience with this Plasticon product and don't really know what our costs will be in full production. And how can we be certain the market will meet our expectations? There are a lot of unknowns in that area. Then there's the whole question of selling price and competition, even on our plant and equipment. Maybe we're not so sure.
Oh, for Pete's sake. You'd think he was taking the money out of his own pocket. What the devil does he want? These are good, hard numbers.
The boys from market research say Plasticon sales will increase 28.4% each year.
You're the bean counter, John. What do you think?
It looks like it would take 2 years before any competitive action could seriously affect our net. But I wouldn't be surprised if Clark Chemical were working on a similar material right now. There have been some rumors.
Okay, let's pull back to 23%. There's been a lot of brain power put into these numbers. They're our best estimates. Next, I suppose you'll want to know when Anderson is going to solve the viscosity problem, or when the violets are going to bloom.
And how soon will Anderson solve that viscosity problem and eliminate those steps in production? That could really improve the picture.
But, Bob, we can't consider that until we've got it.
George, I can't take this proposal upstairs without more data.
Well, of course we couldn't factor in absolutely all the data, or that proposal would be a foot thick, and he'd never read it all. We considered everything that could happen.
How would substantially more time and money for R&D change your present proposal?
Well, that's a different ballpark. We'd have quite a different situation.
I don't have to tell you, George. Right now, it looks like we're committed to a particular course of action. And there's a lot of money at stake here.
Sure, it's a lot of money, but we've backed it up with darn good numbers. And some of the boys wanted to go in even higher. I had to knock them down to realistic numbers.
Excuse me, Mr. Himes. On the proposal, is this 36 or 38,000?
Well, let's see, 38. No, wait. On second thought, Harrison is likely to question it if it's that high. 35 sounds better. And on our course of action, the manufacturing process is the most practical one.
You may end up unhappy with the process you've selected, particularly for the volumes you're talking about. For another $1 million, I can give you a plant that would cut costs 20%.
I'm confident we're on the right track.
George, I know you feel confident, and I don't want to second-guess all of your calculations. However, we ought to be able to structure this thing better for our own benefit.
Well, I agree with that, but how do we go about it? Seems like it's still a matter of judgment. And certainly computers can't make our decisions for us.
That's true. But we've simply got to find a better way to get at a problem of this kind.
Well, maybe so. I guess what you're saying is that instead of a single set of numbers, you want us to look at all of the ways that we can go. And you want some idea of the risks involved.
If you can do that, then we'll really be at the point where we can make a decision. How about some lunch?
Fine.
By the way, if I haven't ruined your weekend, how about some golf on Saturday? Let's get our foursome together.
Great. I'll give you 4-to-1 odds. Harry and I are 2 strokes up on you at the 9th hole, providing either of you 3 putts any one of the first 4 holes.
Well, since there's no more than an even chance of that happening, particularly with my handicap, you're on for even money. How's that for odds?
Fair enough.
Oh, Mr. Himes forgot his hat.